Hi, it's Cindy Morris with the Peoria Public Schools Foundation, here with our special New Year's Eve buzz chats. Trying to be a little festive tonight with this little Happy New Year headband my daughter got at the dollar store. Even though it really hasn't been a happy past year in many ways, I'm hoping that it'll be a much happier 21, and we're definitely hopeful for a much better year for many. So Buzz Chat started in the beginning of this pandemic as a way to connect with people in the community, to our school district, and just positive conversations that are focused on whatever the connection is. So tonight's a little special format with our New Year's Eve edition. We're hoping that people are staying home and safe. I know, with the spikes in numbers, we're hoping people are just taking it easy tonight and staying home. So thank you for joining in. And Thomas and I love movies, and we're kind of passionate about it. And we've done some film critics and stuff like that together. So we've known each other for a while, and I thought I would first introduce Thomas Bruch, who is the Director of Marketing Communications for Peoria Public Schools. Welcome. If you could tell everyone kind of your nutshell of your job and what you do, that might be very interesting.
For sure, yeah. I'll try to keep it to a half hour in describing it. No, I'm just kidding. Well, thanks for having me, Cindy. Yep, it's great to be here after seeing these chats for so long. It's an honor to finally be on one of them, for sure. So yeah, I'm the Director of Communications and Community Engagement for Peoria Public Schools, and that's and basically we're in the PR department here with the district. So I run basically any type of marketing pushes we have, any internal or external communications, and then any kind of engagement either with the community or with families, all kind of falls into my department. And so I usually sum it up to the kids as saying I'm the one that lets everyone know that they have a snow day, a day off, and they always enjoy that when I speak to some of our students in the district. But to all the other parents, I'm the person that bugs people with emails all the time. And so hopefully for some of that, I get this all the time when I meet people in person. It's like, oh, it's always good to put a face to an email address. So yeah, that's I do quite a few things, but all very fun things with the district.
And how long have you been with the district now?
Yeah, it's been 2 years and 1 month. So 2 years as of November 30th, 2018 was when I was first hired, and then an extra month here. So it's gone by so fast. I can't believe how fast the 2 years has gone by, but time flies when you're having fun.
Well, you do an outstanding job, and I was really excited when you started. And you have a job that is, I would say, a 24/7 job where, anything that goes on in the school district, and there's lots of things that go on, you always have to kind of be there and present and communicate that out. So kudos on 2 years of doing a great job.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Cindy.
So, and then as I said earlier, our chat tonight's kind of special since it's New Year's Eve, and like myself, we're huge movie buffs. We love movies. He and I think I met you at the Riverfront Museum where we judged, was it a 24-hour movie fest? Was that?
It was, yeah. So yeah, the 24-hour movie fest, yeah.
Yeah. So that was fun. We had fun. And then at that time, you were a reporter in entertainment for the Peoria Journal-Star. Is that correct?
Yep, that's correct. Yep, that was the role I had and the position I had before joining the district. I was there for about six or some years with the newspaper. Yeah.
Yeah. So a question that I've asked a lot in the buzz chats is during this pandemic and, a lot of times of being shut in, are there any TV shows or movies that, you've kind of rewatched or are watching in the way of?
I've taken, a lot of, there's been a few different approaches. I've tried to catch up on a few television shows. So there's been a couple comedies that I've liked quite a bit. Of course, the offices and the Parks and Recs and all those, it's been kind of nice. That's been a nice comfort. 30 Rock. Those have been a nice comfort during the pandemic. I also pretty hilariously started The West Wing on the which I've watched on and on when I was younger, but haven't kind of fully seen it. Started watching it in November, and then like a couple weeks later, Netflix came out and said that it was leaving Netflix at the end of or midway through December. So didn't make too much headway on that one, but that took up some time here at the end of the year. And then just trying to keep up. I've been able to I've tried to catch up on a lot of movies over the last like 10 years or so that I didn't quite get to. That and there's not a ton, but there's always about 4 to 6 I feel like per year that I just for whatever reason didn't get to. So that's been the primary things I've been trying to do. And what has been it has been a slightly busy pandemic for me, so not as much free time as I probably normally have.
For myself, starting at Thanksgiving, I fell into myself watching Yellowstone, which I really, really liked. Kevin Costner. I think he's a great actor. And
yeah.
I kind of fell in love with that. And then most recently over Christmas watching The Mandalorian, and I'm a huge Star Wars fan. So that was it's good. I liked it. So
Disney Plus has been great for the last couple months for sure. It's a nice little hub for movies and television shows. Yeah.
Right. So I kind of talked to you about this before the show. What would you say if you had one movie that is like your all-time favorite movie? What is it and why?
And this is just, it's the $1 million, question that I just really struggle to answer, because there's so many movies that I've seen. They're products of a time and place of when I saw them. And so it's tough to, many movies that I liked, that I had very passionate about at the age of like 15, 16, I would say for the next 4 or 5 years was my favorite movie. Now that I'm more older, it's like, I love that one, but maybe there's some other ones that I like quite a bit. So it's such a tough question. I'll kind of cheat a little bit. I'll say that probably my all-time favorite that I can just, for now, or at least in the recent past, is All the President's Men, and that's starring Robert Redford, Dustin Hoffman, and their roles as Woodward and Bernstein in the Watergate reporting that they did. And as you might have guessed, based off of my previous job, I worked for a newspaper, and so I think there possibly are better movies about journalism per se, but there isn't a more like just entertaining and just purely classic movie, I feel like. And so, if you watch it for the first time, it's very intense. But even if even on follow-up watches, it's so good. It's such a rewatchable movie for sure. And that's really such a key for me for a favorite movie is its rewatchability. And whether you know a lot about it or not, you learn a lot, and it's just it's fun. There's some good jokes, good tension, and just overall, just very atmospheric movie making. So that would probably be my all-time favorite. I will say that among recent movies, and it's hard to say. I hesitate to say it's my favorite movie right now, just because it came out only 3 years ago. But I like to throw in, that movie was All the President's Men came out well before I was born. So if we can bring it up to the current day age a little bit, I think Lady Bird, which came out in 2017.
Which one?
Lady Bird.
Yes.
Greta Gerwig, starring Saoirse Ronan, Lucas Hedges, Timothy Chalamet. I just think that is one of the most perfect, just kind of coming of age movies that really just nails, growing up in a place, trying to grapple with all, growing up and getting older and moving, that final stage of high school where you're kind of, you think you're very smart, think you know everything, but you're trying to move on into the start of college. And it's just, it's one of those ones that I think modern. If I was to say there's a modern classic out there, I think that one just hits all the right marks. Leaves me with a warm, fuzzy feeling every single time at the end of it. I just watched it like a week ago for the first time in a couple months or maybe a year or so. And just can't, it was just as good as the first time I watched it. So that would be one I would say if we had like a modern, favorite in comparison to All the President's Men pick, that would be it.
I love that you pick movies that aren't probably mainstream. That the movies that you mentioned aren't like mainstream movies, and I mean I've seen them and appreciate them, and I love that you just didn't pick some real popular kind of action flick, but that's cool. And I have to tell you this little bit of trivia since you liked All the President's Men. Story that I went to one of the greatest times in my life. I attended the 2006 Sundance Film Festival in Park City, Utah, and watched 18 films in 3 days and had the time of my life. But at one of the screenings, I looked behind me, and guess who was sitting right directly behind me in the movie theater?
Robert Redford.
Mr. Robert Redford. And I remember thinking, I was so nervous. I wanted to turn around and talk to him or get his autograph, and I thought, I can't do this. But I kept looking at my mirror and kind of staring at him. And it was one of those cool moments. And he started, as you know, the Sundance Film Festival. And
yes, yeah,
part of it to this day. But he's such a great actor, and it's amazing he's still acting. And I've been recently watching some Clint Eastwood films as well, and it's these older generation actors that I just saw The Mule recently, and I was like, wow. I mean, I don't know how old Clint Eastwood is, but he's still got it, And, yeah.
He's getting close to his 90s. It's pretty incredible. Yeah, the old masters, the old guys still got it. In a lot of respects, and it's cool to see. And it's cool to see that they have that longevity. And yeah, that's an amazing story about Robert Redford. I got to say, my mom might be the most jealous person in the world that you were only, about 5 feet away from Robert Redford. She might have traded away one of her kids here to have had that opportunity. But
yeah.
Robert Redford's a favorite in my household growing up for sure, and so that's pretty amazing. And again, delivers a great performance in All the President's Men for sure.
Yeah, he was fantastic. And for me, I would say all-time favorite, and I've seen some, thousands of films over the years, and I would say my all-time favorite is Moulin Rouge, and I love it because it kind of crosses so many genres of movies. And even though it's a romantic kind of film, it's got, tragedy, and it's got music. And Baz Luhrmann, who is the director of the movie, his film, all of them have a lot of color and kind of excitement and emotion, and the character development so good. But I loved Moulin Rouge, and I fell in love with Ewan McGregor and Nicole, and they sang the songs in the movie, and I just thought it was really well done. And I respect Baz Luhrmann, who's from Australia, as the director. I think he does just a really outstanding job.
Yep, he does. You never exit a Baz Luhrmann film, feeling kind of cold and monochrome. Usually, it's a very vibrant and entertaining and lots of colors, as you said. And yeah, it's always an experience for sure. Yeah, that's a great pick. That's an awesome pick. And I know the New York Times selected Nicole Kidman as one of their top 5 actor or actresses of the 21st century so far. And that's one you might not think of right away, but it's
right.
It's movies like Moulin Rouge and all the other ones that she does that you kind of take her for granted a little bit, but she's really excellent in that movie for sure.
Yeah, she really is a diverse actor, and if you Google her, the amount of movies she's done. What's the one she did with Joaquin Phoenix where it was the reporter? That one. I mean, oh my gosh, she was like incredible. What was the name of that movie, Thomas? Remember?
It's Destroyer or something like that, or is that sound right?
Yeah, well, and yeah, I mean, she has been in, just really diverse films, and I'll never forget, I kind of fell in love with her her acting and just her in what was the one with Tom Cruise, and it was in the winter, Far and Away. Did you ever?
Yes, that's a
Yes.
great one. Yeah.
Yes, that one was incredible, and she's been in, yeah, and then Dead Calm. That's another one I'm thinking of. Did you ever see Dead Calm?
I don't think I've seen that one, no.
With Sam Neill, you'll have to check that one out. It's great. So back to kind of our, movie talk, and, because we are, in the school district, we talked about maybe narrowing down kind of our favorite family movies and things like that to recommend for our friends and listeners. What would you say are some of your top family-friendly movies that you've loved over the years?
For sure, yeah, and I can, and these are ones that I really, it's kind of a cherished category of movie for me for sure, because I come from a very big family. I have 7 siblings, and I'm the second oldest of the 8 of us. So, there's a lot of time spent just growing up, even till very recently, seeing a lot of family movies, because it's just something that everyone can watch. So it's a very cherished category for me that I enjoy quite a bit. I would say. To start things off, one of my favorites is the Sandlot, which is a awesome movie from the 90s about a group of kids. It's set in the 60s, actually. It came out, but it was released in the 90s. About a group of kids in LA who play Sandlot baseball. And for me, it just really captured. It was a movie I liked a lot when I was young, but I feel like it really captures just childhood and sports and just having fun and filling up your summer days where there's not a whole lot going on. Of course, there's hijinks that ensue, getting chased by a dog or trying to fetch a baseball that went over the fence and is being patrolled by a big scary dog. So anyways, it's a great little summer family flick, and I always love it. It's funny even to this day. Some of those jokes are just are great, and there's a lot to like for adults as well. Just looking back, so that's a huge one. The other one that is just a number one family favorite, and for my family is Fantastic Mr. Fox. And that movie came out in 2009. It's stop motion animation, directed by Wes Anderson, and starring. It's got the voice work from George Clooney and Meryl Streep and a whole lot of others. Bill Murray, all the other usual cohorts that work with Wes Anderson. And that movie is just a pure delight. I know it kind of went under the radar slightly, but I cannot recommend that movie to families enough. There's so much to love. Kids will like it. There's a lot of action sequences and a lot of fun stuff for kids. But the jokes are just so great for the adults. Like I'll never forget watching it with my family and my parents just cracking up, some of the turns of phrase and everything like that. So Fantastic Mr. Fox is wonderful movie. You'll have a great time. It's quick, 90 minutes. There's not a much more fun 90 minutes than that. A couple Pixar movies that I am particularly fond of. Coco, one that just recently came out a couple of years ago. This is a very heartwarming tale of family and multi-generational families, and they interplay, but also set in a different culture, in a different, celebrating Dia de los Muertos, and kind of some of the mythology behind that, and I think that really introduced a lot of people to some of those concepts and some things that they might not have known about. And it's just such a lovely movie. It'll make you cry several times over. And then also Up. I'm just a huge Up fan. I think that really Up really straddles the line between kids movie. There's a lot of great sequences that kids will love there with with the dogs and the house and Russell and all that. But there's also some very sweet sentimental aspects of the older gentleman, the older grandfather's life. And how he goes about his life now as a you find out at the beginning he's a widower. So yeah, that's just such a heartwarming song that I love so much. And then the last one I would say, another family favorite, extended family favorite, is the Princess Bride.
Yeah.
Such a great, such a fun kind of look at kind of again, like a fairy tale story, and kind of this satirizing of the fairy tale story, and how and how that happens, but in a way that's very compelling, very sweet. There's romantic elements, there's fun action sequences, but overall it's just hilarious. And the Billy Crystal scene just always just makes me roll out of my chair laughing. So I would say, as far as family movies, those are the big ones that stuck out to me when I was trying to think and compile my list. And I think there's just so many. There's so many good ones out there. It was hard to pick, honestly. But those are really big ones for me, and ones that I either find just amazing, hilarious, or very personally touching and memorable.
Yeah. So adults, you would say, and people are looking for things to do, because we're going to be, it sounds like the winter's going to be long, but I recommend, Thomas is, he's very fascinating, interesting person, and well-read. And I think that you should check out All the President's Men if you haven't. What was the other one you said?
Oh, Lady Bird. Lady Bird was the one.
Yes, and that's the newer, that's kind of under the radar. I saw it. I would definitely recommend that for adults. And then for younger, families, The Sandlot's an excellent recommendation. Coco. And what was the last one you said?
Princess Bride.
The Princess Bride. And that's that's a little older film, but such a classic. And got Robin Wright Penn in that, and the acting. It is. I really see it as a comedy, but it's just a really, really good film. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Oh my gosh, so many great actors that were involved in that. Andre the Giant, who could forget? Like I said, Billy Crystal. Just so many great ones. Carrie Hughes. So yeah, there's a lot of fun names and fun people involved with that one for sure.
Yeah. So my picks for that I recommend, and some of my favorite movies, and I think a lot of these films, with my children who are a little older now, 22 and 24, but things that we really enjoyed. And one, my daughter and I still talk today about if she's ever having a bad day, and social emotional is so relevant today with depression, and I think this winter will be even more so. But when I watched Bound, which is a Pixar film that was a kind of a prequel to The Incredibles, was the writer director and the music in the film. It's just a wonderful movie about this little, I think it's a sheep or a lamb, and it's an animated short. So I highly recommend it. It's got just the greatest little story in 5 minutes.
Good for all attention spans, yes.
Yes. It's got this, this figure, this jackalope that helps the sheep with, what he's dealing with. And I just think it's a beautiful story. I love a short, quick film. And if you haven't seen it, I highly recommend Bounden. It's just an incredible short film. You've seen that, right?
Yes, of course. Yeah. It's a delight for sure.
It's one of my favorites. So it makes you feel better. So when Taylor's having a bad day, I'll send her a little picture of a jackalope, and I'll tell her to smile and feel better. So another one is it's kind of off the radar a little bit, but Jordan and Taylor really loved it, and we liked it too. It was called The Iron Giant. And Vin Diesel was the main, it's animated, but Vin Diesel was one of the main animated voices, and Harry Connick Jr. And I just thought it was a really nice story of kind of this alien giant that came to Earth, and it was kind of a feel-good movie. But I think at the time it was a little under the radar, but I thought it was just a movie, and for younger kids, there's one kind of intense, maybe a little scary scene, but I think mostly it's family friendly. Would you agree?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, very family friendly, very good message just around, how to work, how to, treat outsiders or people you're not familiar with. And yeah, it's great. Yeah. And Brad Bird went on to do, like you said, The Incredibles after it, Iron Giant. He did that, and then he does The Incredibles, like you
Right.
mentioned earlier, a couple years later. So yeah, that's
Yeah.
a great one. That's a great one for sure.
Yeah. And then the other one I have to point out, and this is probably I would recommend probably middle school and above, but I'm a huge Star Wars fan. And the original, I call the original trilogy, um, the original three Star Wars films, the Star Wars, Empire Strikes Back, and Return of the Jedi are, I think, just classic. And anytime it comes on TV, I have to watch like the entire thing.
Yeah.
I just think the whole story and the premise, it's definitely not for small children because there's some violence and things like that in there. But the story, the character development, and where it is today is just incredible because they've, carried on and gone on. And even the Mandalorian's a part of that. And but I just remember even as a young girl, well, of course, being in love with Luke Skywalker, but also being in love with Princess Leia and just like her strong woman role at that time. I loved it. And it's one of the only films today that I could watch every single time it comes on TV or over and over again. Every single time. I just love it.
Yeah, oh, just such a classic. Yeah, and that's I'm just as enchanted by it in that series as well. And yeah, that I'm the same way. It's usually on TNT or one of those channels like that on cable, and it's really really hard not to leave or not to just stay there and watch the whole thing once you see it on there.
Yeah. Would you say? I mean, I would say like middle school and above, right? Like
yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm yeah, I think I watched it maybe for the first time when I was like 6 or 7, but I had an older brother that was crazy about it, so I got kind of fortunate in that aspect. But yeah, very safe for middle schoolers, absolutely.
Right. Yeah. So, back to kind of your job and role. What would you say for 2020 was because you're the marketing and the communications, and it's been rough. I mean, we know, I mean, and I know too, because we're getting calls daily for families that are struggling. What would you say what you've seen as your biggest struggle with our families and students since the start of this pandemic?
Right. I think it's just, we all the decisions in the past 9 months have been made with such a focus on health and safety, but also trying to balance, what our kids need and what our students need, educational wise, but also all the things, we talk about all the time, in our schools and Peoria public schools, they're not just places for education, they're places for a lot of things. So it's, nutritional meals, counseling, SEL services, sports activities, there's just so much our schools offer and so much our schools provide that in a scenario where the kids aren't able to be there, there's a ton of repercussions from that, and so I would just say I think a lot of people are missing that connection with people in person, whether that's your teacher, your best friend, your basketball coach, or your teammates on the sports team, your principal, whoever it is. I think a lot of people are just missing that connection and being able to make, being able to see people regularly and make that, and it's one of those things where we're, I think our district's done a phenomenal job of adjusting, and I think everyone knows the stakes and know that every decision's a tough one, but it's being made with safety in mind. So I think I just can't thank our families and our staff enough for being with us, this whole time, and just knowing that we're doing the best we can. And fortunately, we'll be as of right now, we're going to be back in school in person on January 19th. And so I think we got a really good plan set up to keep that going throughout the whole semester. And so I think, the toughest part is behind us, and there's a lot of brightness ahead of us for sure.
Yeah. Well, it's been a year for the books for sure. But we're ending 2020 tonight, and hopefully starting in 2021 that things will look better. And yeah, I mean, personally, I know that, safety is always a big thing, but I think our kids need to be in class. So there's nothing like learning from a teacher in the classroom in person, but it has to be safe. And that's definitely my hopes for the new year. And so are you guys watching any movies tonight?
No movies tonight. No movies over here. We'll probably just eat dinner. Play some games.
Yeah.
Maybe video chat a few people. But yeah, we'll keep it. We'll keep it low key for sure. And then tomorrow's a big movie day always. Lounging around on the couch. So yeah, that's tomorrow will be my big movie day, and I'll let you know which ones I get to for sure.
Yeah, so I just wanted to say, Trish said happy all she's on. She said she's watching Father Brown on BritBox. I'm not familiar with that, but I'll have to check that out. Demario Boone says hi. Sylvia Rojas says hi. I know Demario's a big movie buff too. So
yeah, he is. Yeah, hi to all those people. I miss all of you. I don't know. I've seen some of you at certain points, but yeah, I'm wishing a happy holidays, and hopefully this was mildly entertaining for people.
Yeah, well, I find you interesting, and I love that you your movie selections are not mainstream and kind of make people think. And thank you for joining us tonight. I know on your special years, and I hope that you have a good evening, and thank you for joining us. We will be back on Buzz Chats in a few weeks, and we're very excited to say that. And Thomas actually knows we're going to get Mark Elliott, who's a world-renowned author and movie lover as well. He's going to a couple of weeks and talk about, he's done some workshops in our school district, and he's working with the museum on a film series. So he's a very interesting person. He's met a lot of very, fascinating people. So we're excited to get him in a few weeks on here. So
yeah, and Mark got to speak to some of our high school students when he was here the last time. So that was very cool.
Yeah, he's cool.
I'll put one more plug out there. If anyone hasn't, I know Cindy doesn't want to do this because it's a foundation event, but the 365 breakfast is coming up in just 1 week. It's crazy. 1 week from now. So if you haven't signed up yet, if you haven't donated yet, please do so. You can pick up a nice breakfast from drive-through breakfast from Hy-Vee. And then you'll get to see a very special virtual speaker in David Booth. So I just can't stress that enough. It's one of our best events. Really sad that we couldn't do it in person because it's always so great coming out of the holidays to just see everyone and catch up. But we'll do it virtually this year, and it's going to be great. But just wanted to put a little plug in there for you because I know you've put a lot of effort into it.
Well, thank you. And I know Cheryl Sanfield will really appreciate you mentioning that. So
love Cheryl. Gotta love Cheryl.
Thank you so much. And have a good evening. And thank you all that have joined us tonight. And thank you for your continued support. We appreciate you, and we hope the best for you and yours in 2021.
Yep. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year. Thanks, Thomas.
Yep. Thank you, Cindy.